Okay, happy spring, everybody. It's so awesome to be here with you again today. This is the Be Well, Be Safe, Be Happy, Eat Ice Cream podcast, and I'm your host, Coach Brad. And as always, I just get so excited. I'm tickling with goosebumps today. I have another awesome guest today. Her name is Ramona Fasula, and she's coming to us from the East Coast, the city of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. And she is going to be talking to us about making healthy living easy, which is something even for me as a health coach, I'm dying to know. Any tips, any secrets, anything I can get to share with you, the listeners, about how to make any of this easier or better for any of us. Let me read you her bio real quick because it's pretty interesting. Ramona Fasula is a nationally recognized natural health expert and disease management and prevention specialist. For over a decade, she has been a champion for helping others to establish a healthy lifestyle and be the best version of themselves that they can possibly be. She is a certified holistic health and stress management coach. So Ramona, welcome to the podcast. I'm super excited to have you here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. I love your energy. You have great energy. I'm just smiling. I'm
Well,
just
me, you
smiling
know,
away.
me too. Doing this podcast and getting to meet people like you and just spread this whole healthy living message. You can't see my arm, but I got goosebumps. I'm just so blessed and lucky and awesome to be able to interact with folks such as yourselves. So Ramona, yeah, I want to get into this whole notion you say on your website about making healthy living easy. And I know you've come up with that, but to get to that point, you've had a journey. We were talking a little bit off camera. It involved diabetes with a family member, I think you said. So take us back a little bit. When did all this healthy living start for you, or how did it start?
This happened the journey began in 2001. My dad had passed away from complications of type 2 diabetes,
Okay.
and he never took care of it. And me and my mom, my sister, we all knew the road that or the path that this could lead to if he didn't start taking care of himself. And he never did. And he had all kinds of complications from it. And unfortunately, he passed away in 2001. So I started getting into natural health then. My mom did some things to try to help my dad, different supplements and things like that. And I never thought that I would make a career out of it. I worked in the financial industry for a long time, and
Okay, big shift.
yeah, I lost my job, and it just kind of hit me. What's my next step? What do I want to do? And I started thinking about the wellness thing, and I went to school. I got my certification in health coaching, and then one certification kind of led to another. But I'm really convinced, Brad, that if I knew then what I know now, my dad would still be alive today, because type 2 diabetes is 100% reversible, and I have reversed it with clients. So, my dad's the reason that I get up every day and do what I do, because I know that food is medicine. I've seen it work,
It
and
is. Let me jump in real quick, Ramona,
yeah.
because what you do and what we're doing with this podcast, getting this message out to millions, ideally around the world, is huge. So real quick, I just want to say thank you. Yeah, because there's a lot of people we still need to reach.
I definitely agree with that. But I think that, I think with the pandemic that we just went through, I think that health is really at the forefront of everyone's mind right now. Physical health, and of course mental health as well. It was traumatic what we went through for 2 years. Being isolated and having to wear the mask all the time, and so I feel bad for anybody that's struggling mentally. And I just want to say that, to all your listeners, there is help out there. Don't feel like you are alone in this, because there are plenty of people, that are out there that can help support you in any way. So if you feel down and depressed, reach out to somebody. They can definitely help, and they want to help.
Oh, absolutely with that. So, Ramona, this whole idea of combating type 2 diabetes kind of became your I guess, motivating factor, so to speak. How did that channel into this concept of making healthy living easy? What exactly is that all about? How do, even for me as a health coach, how
Mhm.
do we make healthy living easy?
Well, I mean, it's simple. I mean, get rid of the processed stuff.
Okay.
We are in such a health crisis right now, and I hate to say it, but I look in people's shopping carts when I'm in the supermarket, and I would never say anything. That's none of my business, but
I know
you
what you're
know, I
talking about. Yeah.
I just look and I think if you only knew what you're putting in your mouth and how it will affect your body, you wouldn't be eating the things that you're eating. So staying away from the processed stuff, the cake, the cookies, the candy, the soda, sugar. Sugar is I would say public enemy number one. It should not be in anyone's diet, and it's so addictive. It damages your DNA. It affects every organ in the body. Get off the sugar. If you take anything from this podcast today, get off the sugar, and I can help with that.
You know,
Other coaches can help with that as well.
yeah, I've mentioned that a lot too, but you bring up a good point. But let me ask you this, Ramona. I mean, there's a ton of information out there about getting off sugar and whatnot. And you mentioned, mental health just a moment ago, as important as physical health. And it's not just America, this country, it's Canada and Europe and Australia and even parts of a lot of Asia now. I've been there. We're eating more processed foods, and we're like kind of doing the opposite. And there's so much access to information now too. This is something as a health coach I've always wondered. I mean, people know the difference between like a candy bar and broccoli, for example, yet they're still choosing the candy bar. What do you think's going on with that? So
I think it's a sugar addiction. I think there's a lot of people that are addicted to sugar. They get sugar cravings constantly. I'll give you a little tip.
okay.
Apple cider vinegar. I
Oh,
remember I remember having one client, and I love apple cider vinegar. I think that it's something that people should be adding into their diets. So I had a client. She had a sugar addiction, and she was addicted to York peppermint patties.
yeah.
She had a bag of it. She was very specific about it. She had a bag of it. She kept it in her freezer, and every night after dinner, she would reach for the York peppermint patties. So the first question I asked was, okay, well, when do you get the craving? She said after dinner. I said, okay, here's what I want you to do. After dinner, when you're done cleaning up and that craving sets in, what I want you to do is do a shot of apple cider vinegar in water. You don't want to drink it straight because it's going to burn, right? So you want to dilute it with water.
Okay.
I said, I want you to do that. And she was already doing a food diary, which is important as well. And I said, report back to me where the cravings are in a few weeks. So she came back to me for her session in a couple of weeks, and she said, my cravings are gone completely. She said, that bag's still sitting in my freezer.
So apple cider vinegar diluted it. How like what? 1 teaspoon to like 1 glass of water, roughly?
I would say a tablespoon in a glass of water,
Okay.
mix it in real well, and then drink it. It's also very alkaline as well, which is very important. The standard American diet is very acidic. When the diet is very acidic, it can cause weight gain. It can also cause high cholesterol too. And a lot of people aren't aware of that. When your body is too acidic, your liver produces more cholesterol as a buffer. So what you want to do is stay away from the acidic stuff and eat more alkaline foods. So things that are acidic, and I wouldn't say don't ever consume these things ever again. That's not what I'm saying. I would say limit meat, animal products, dairy, cheeses, coffee is very acidic, alcohol is very acidic.
Oh, okay.
So eating more things like avocados, pomegranates are very alkaline as well. So pomegranate juice is wonderful. The palm juice that you can buy in the supermarket, loaded with antioxidants, very alkaline, great for heart health as well. So I would definitely recommend that. Avocados, I think I mentioned a minute ago, but eating more alkaline foods, lemons, limes, grapefruits, very acidic outside the body, very alkaline when they're consumed and go into the body. So that's a great support in people's weight loss journey, which is something that people don't really talk about.
No, and actually, I hadn't thought much about acidic foods versus alkaline foods. But so let me ask you this. So a lot of people are still on, I'm sure you've heard this term SAD, the standard American diet, which contains a lot of the processed foods and sugars and things like that. What would you suggest to someone who is like completely on the standard American diet to slowly switch over to more what you're talking about, the healthy eating things? How do they make that shift? Like, I mean, there's got to be a huge psychological aspect to that as well, I would imagine.
I would say just little by little start incorporating healthy foods, like start incorporating grains into your diet. I do a lot of brown rice bowls, quinoa. Farro is my latest obsession. I love making different salads out of farro, adding green leafy vegetables into your diet any way that you can. So I think the best way, if people don't like vegetables, is to do smoothies every day,
No.
because you're putting in the greens and then you're also putting in fruit. So you're going to taste the fruit and not the greens. So there's little tricky little things that you can do, to get more greens into your diet, but slowly weaning yourself off. Like I give an example of people that drink soda. Well, how many cans of soda do you drink per day? Oh, I drink 5 cans of soda per
Yeah.
day. Okay. Well, how about tomorrow do 4? And then when you're okay with that, go down to 3. Incorporate water, drink more water instead of the soda. You're down to 3. Okay, well, let's take it down to 2 and then get it down to 1. And then, don't drink soda anymore. Start drinking more water. Put some lemon juice in there to alkalize the body. So little things like that.
Okay. So anyone listening, Ramona is a health coach. You can learn more at her website, wellnessbyramona.com. Ramona, so in addition to this eating, what are some other tips that you might have for, making healthy living easy, or some other strategies that you've come up with?
Well, I mean, it's not just about food,
Yeah.
it's about making sure that you're getting enough exercise. And I think with exercise, the most important thing is to do what you like to do.
Mhm.
I can't tell you how many people, they'll start an exercise program, absolutely hate what they're doing. And then the likelihood of them sticking to that is going to be pretty slim.
Pretty low.
People that don't like yoga and they'll start incorporating yoga. Well, if you don't like yoga, then it's not gonna last. So there's so many different things that you can do. Some people like hiking. Some people are gym rats. They like to go to the gym, and get their workouts in that way. Some people love to do yoga. So kind of figure out what works for you, and then start incorporating that into your regimen. Start out, if you don't exercise at all, start with 1 day a week and then kind of build up to 2 to 3 days a week. Now, I've been exercising for a long time. So 5 days a week is nothing for me to do. And I kind of work my schedule around my gym schedule.
Oh, nice.
So, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, those are the days that I go. This is the time that I go, and I rarely deviate from that. But I made it a habit for years and years and years, and I don't even have to think about it anymore. I just kind of get in my car and the car goes right to the gym. So little by little, just slow and steady wins the race, right? So just little by little, start incorporating little things. Doing things to lower your stress levels as well. And again, everybody's different. Some people like to be out in nature, walking around in nature. Yeah, nature's incredible. So going for long walks or hiking. Some people like to meditate. Some people have a gratitude, which I love. Gratitude, my gratitude journal, having that practice every day is super important for me. Some people meditate with their crystals, like I have right here. I love my crystals, but doing things that give you joy in life. That's part of healthy living. Having those hobbies and just doing things that just make you smile, make your heart sing. I think that's so important. I think people put so much of a focus on eating healthy, which is so, so important. I mean, that's everything that I teach and everything that I believe in, that food is medicine, but it's important to, incorporate those other things into your life as well. And even the people that surround you as well, making sure that they're positive people and that they're building you up instead of putting you down. And it's important, the people that you surround yourself with. That's part of healthy living, is, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, you're hitting on a ton of good points there, and I'm trying to think here as hosting this podcast. Do I go this direction or this direction, or which direction do I go? I want to real quick. What the direction I do want to go, though, you just mentioned and you said it a couple times. Food is medicine. I'm not sure a lot of people truly grasp that. People think of medicine as a pill you take, or maybe something you drink, something like cough syrup or something like that. But food is medicine. Can you expand on that a little bit more? I know what you mean by that as a health coach, but for the average person listening to this right now, can you exactly what do you mean food is medicine? Is it if you have cancer and you eat vegetables, is that going to cure you then? Is that what you mean? Or
Well, I mean, I never say that, I mean, it's up to the doctor to, make that determination. Food has the nutrients that the body needs to support wellness, and I'll give you an example. I always say that when you go to the supermarket and you're in that produce section, your cart should look like a Crayola crayon box, and that there's lots of different colors. So I'll give you some examples. So your white foods like cauliflower, like leeks, like onions, those help to build immunity. Your green leafy vegetables, your green vegetables are very detoxifying for the body. So, making sure that you're adding the green leafy vegetables and the other greens like broccoli, for example, to your diet. Your orange foods, like your carrots, they have critical nutrients in them like beta carotene, great for the eyes. Orange foods are great in cancer prevention as well, just like your cruciferous vegetables are great for cancer prevention as well, like your broccoli, your cabbage, which is wonderful, anti-inflammatory. Inflammation is the underlying cause of disease. So, purple, things like eggplants, things like plums, that rich purple color are those anthocyanins, which are powerful antioxidants. So food is definitely medicine, and it has critical nutrients that the body needs. And when you're lacking in them, the body will tell you that something is off. So it's so important to make sure that you're focusing on the right kinds of foods in your diet, because it can either promote wellness or it can create sickness, on the other hand.
one or the other. Yeah, well, that's a
Mhm.
really good point. The foods that you eat will either promote wellness or promote sickness, depending
Absolutely.
which one you choose. You just said it can oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now. The I'm drawing a blank. I just lost it, Ramona. So we're going to go ahead and move on here. But it just came back to me. So okay, so we've been talking about food and and I really want to get this point across. I think I've said this in other podcasts, but I want to say it again. People think it's all about exercise, or I use the word movement. Exercise is kind of the same thing, but
Mhm.
you had to choose one, if you could only choose one, food or exercise, which would you say is the most important thing to really focus on?
You know what? Honestly, I couldn't pick one over the other because I think they're both equally important.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know I've heard that a lot, and I've had that question a lot, but I don't want to negate the benefits of exercise when I'm, out there promoting the fact that food is medicine and a healthy diet is super important. But I think they're both equally important. You can't be sedentary. You have to get out there. I mean, the American Heart Association recommends 10,000 steps per day, and I think that some people don't even get half of that because they're in front of the TV, especially during the pandemic, things were closed, and every day when the gym was closed, I got out there and I went walking every single day. I had my Fitbit and I tracked my steps. But I think a lot of people were at home watching Netflix. And I'm not saying that I didn't do that, because I did some binge watching myself, but I don't think people get half that. 5,000 steps in a day. And it's so important to get out there.
Yeah. I'm gonna put on my health coaching blah blah blah. I can't talk today. My health coaching hat real quick, because I do want to emphasize this point. I agree completely, Ramona. They're both important.
Mhm.
The food is medicine, and of course the exercise, or I use the word movement. I really, really want to stress this out to anyone listening. Healthy eating matters. I've had so many clients I've worked with in a one-on-one coaching, personal training type format. They go to the gym, they work their tail off for, I don't know, 20 minutes or an hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. And 2 weeks later, there's no results at all in terms of like weight loss or anything like that, because they go home and they'll eat pizza. They leave the gym and they go to McDonald's. And I'm like, you can't do that. So yes, you absolutely have to have both. I agree with that. But for me, I would
Mhm.
absolutely say you've got to focus on the food as medicine aspect. If I can get even one person listening to this today to realize what you said, Ramona, that the food is medicine, and the medicine we take will make us better, as you said, or it will make us sick, as we said. So
Mhm.
which choice do you want? So
What, and I'll give you an example as well. I mean, I can provide many examples of food being medicine, but I want to focus on my mentor. Christina Pirillo is her name.
okay.
Um, and for those that aren't familiar with her, just Google her. She's a New York Times bestselling author. She's got a show on public television called Christina Cooks. Very famous vegan, travels around the world, and she teaches people that food is medicine. So I was lucky enough to take some integrative health and cooking classes under her at the restaurant school in Philadelphia. And she had leukemia when she was 25. She cured it with a macrobiotic diet. The doctors could not believe that she cured it with a macrobiotic diet. So she knew right then and there. She somehow, the right people came into her life, taught her about macrobiotic diets and macrobiotic cooking. And she realized after the cancer had gone away that she needed to teach people this, because food is medicine. So she went back to school, got a master's degree in dietetics, or I forget exactly the subject, but somewhere along those lines. And now she teaches and she travels around the world. So she is a prime example of, how to use food as medicine. But even things like weight loss, it's important to get down to the root cause of why someone is not losing weight. And a big issue for a lot of people is lack of protein. I have a client that I'm working with right now, and we stumbled upon that fact because she has not been able to lose weight. So I asked her, how much protein are you getting every day? And she said, not enough. So we're working on that. So we're going to incorporate more protein into her diet, but really getting down to the root cause of weight loss, because people get so frustrated. They go on different diets and they think, okay, well, this person lost 20 pounds, so I'm going to lose 20 pounds on Atkins or South Beach or whatever the case may be. But everybody's different. That's why it's important to work with health coaches that are out there, that can help support you on that journey. I believe everybody should be working with a health coach. I really do.
Yeah, if you're listening right now, wellnessbyramona.com. She's nationally recognized. Ramona is nationally recognized as a holistic health coach and stress management coach. Ramona, let's shift gears real quick and talk a little bit about stress. I get stress, and it's funny. Not too long ago, a couple of months ago, I was highly stressed out, and I remember saying to myself, "I'm the health coach. I'm the one that teaches about stress management and all that. And here I am, super stressed." What
Mhm.
do you see in the world today in terms of stress? I mean, are we completely stressed out as a society? And what are some tips that you have for that?
I definitely believe that we are stressed out as a society. And I think a lot of times people sweat the small stuff,
Mm,
things that don't, you know, if you think back on something like 5 years later, a lot of times, like, what was I so upset over? That's really not important in the grand scheme of things, So I think that people are really sweating the small stuff, like,
examples? Yeah. Like what are some examples of small stuff?
well, I mean, say you get into an argument with somebody, like you can't change people, and I think people are they try to do that. You get into an argument with somebody and it's just so upsetting. I think people think it's a reflection on them. When somebody mistreats you, it's not a reflection on you, it's a reflection on them. Let it go.
Mhm.
Just let it go. Don't sweat it. They'll come around. It's not worth getting upset over. Somebody has a bad day, somebody's rude to you. It's not about you, it's about them. And I think that causes a lot of stress for a lot of people. I hear it all the time, Brad. Oh my God, you know what this person did to me? What did this person do to you? And then we talk through it and they're like, oh, so now that I'm thinking about it, it really wasn't about me. Person must have had a bad day and they took it out on you. It's all right. Just let it go. Let go of things that you can't control. People want to control everything.
I remember,
You don't
well,
have to.
you said a few minutes ago too about the environment that we're in, that could matter. I remember I used to live in the Philippines, and life was much slower there, and stress was a lot less. And I think at least in these very busy countries like America, Canada, maybe England. I haven't been to England, but with such a hectic society, like probably your schedule is packed. You're busy, go go go. My schedule is go go go. Most people are
Mhm.
go go go. We just get overwhelmed. And I think you're making a key point. Let it go. And I would add to that, just simply slow down.
Yeah.
Find a
Slow
way.
down and let it go. Take some deep breaths. Deep breathing is so helpful in so many ways, even for sleep. If you're having trouble sleeping, take some 5 deep breaths. I
Yeah.
did that actually. I can say it works because I actually couldn't fall asleep about a week ago. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this to the test and see if this theory actually works. I
Okay.
took maybe like 3 deep breaths and I fell asleep right away. So there's definitely something to deep breathing in helping us to feel less stress, but also helping us get to sleep faster too.
Like one of those deep breaths where like inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, and like 5 second count or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Something so simple. The little things, Brad, can make the biggest difference. And I believe that's one of them.
Okay. I've taught focus breathing, I call it, or some call it box breathing, or in
Mhm.
samurai culture, Misogi breathing. I've never thought about using deep breathing and deep breaths for sleep though. Huh.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
sleep well, but I'm gonna try that. So yeah, if you're listening, you're having trouble sleeping, take some deep breaths before you sleep, and see how that works for you.
And there's lots of other things that can help with sleep too, not just deep breathing. Um, Tart cherry juice is a great sleep aid, believe it or not. It lowers inflammation. Cherries are amazing, extremely anti-inflammatory. That's great to get you to sleep. Elderberry juice is another great aid. Having a banana before bed or hummus, the
Oh,
tryptophan,
no
like the
kidding.
turkey that we eat on Thanksgiving, that the tryptophan makes us sleepy. That's something else that you can kind of add to your regimen if you're having trouble sleeping. Oh, I have so many tricks for everything.
Oh my good. Well, again, I'm going to reach out to you, Ramona, wellnessbyramona.com. I mean, even as a health coach, I still have a lot to learn. And you just mentioned turkey. I thought it was because I would eat too much or something like that.
Tryptophan will help make you sleepy. So yeah, I mean, there's so many little things that you can do. But of course, consult your doctor, I would say, if you're having an issue sleeping, because it could be something serious. It could be not be something serious. It could be something serious. Different nutrient deficiencies And how do you get the nutrients? You're going to get them from food. So if you have that balanced diet, then it'll help support your sleep as well.
I want to go back to something you mentioned a little while ago, this idea of inflammation as the root of all disease. I've certainly read that and heard that a lot. I think very few people in the general population who are not in health coaching or in the health wellness field or who have not worked with a health coach really don't know much about that. And I think even I'll say your general mainstream doctors who have just gone through your typical 4 years of medical school are only starting slightly to understand this. Your more holistic and homeopathic and naturalist doctors understand this, but this idea of inflammation, I really want people to understand this. Can you kind of, Ramonis, walk us through a little bit? What exactly do you mean by inflammation? Like, I think of inflammation like if I get hit by a baseball, my eye swells up or something like that, that type of inflammation. But I think you're talking about a little something different.
Chronic.
Yeah, and then
Chronic inflammation, where the body's in like a perpetual state of stress, right? So and you can get your the amount of inflammation in your system, you can get it tested through a C-reactive protein test. A doctor will do that. That's part of a regular checkup. They do, if you look on your blood work results, it will show C-reactive protein, but the chronic inflammation can lead to heart disease. It could lead to diabetes. It could lead to cancer. It could lead to all kinds of things. But inflammation, like when it gets to the chronic stage, that's when you need to sound the alarm. And foods that are unhealthy support inflammation in the body. So things like sugar, which I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, you definitely want to stay away from that because that is extremely inflammatory. The standard American diet in general is very inflammatory because there's lots of salt, there's lots of sugar, there's lots of chemicals. All these things cause inflammation and lead to chronic inflammation in the body. So you definitely have to be careful. Exercise is a way to help to get rid of the inflammation as well, making sure that you're eating healthy, making sure that you're exercising, lowering stress levels through meditation and all these things.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Ramona, but the inflammation we're talking about, like, could be inflammation in your joints, your blood vessels, some of your muscle tissue, things like this. And this inflammation comes from, we've been talking about food as medicine, but the opposite is also true. As you pointed out, Ramona, food can be poison.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that food
very pro-inflammatory.
A big one is sugar. So for folks listening, take this one point to heart. Food is medicine, can help you, make you better, make you well, as your friend demonstrated with her leukemia, or food can be poison. It can make you sick.
Absolutely. I think people are tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they get put on medications that cause side effects. I really, and I'm not to say, I've had clients that have been on medication for heart failure, where the medication was actually pumping the blood, to and from the heart for them. So medication to a certain degree is needed. But I think the first line of defense in preventing and reversing chronic disease should be food and diet. We have so much power. I even, I took a course through T. Colin Campbell, who wrote the China study. And he was saying that we have the power to turn off genetic markers that predispose us to disease through diet. We have so much power in our fork, but yet people don't really, they don't really think about that. They don't. They think, okay, well, diabetes runs in my family. I'm destined to get it. So I might as well just eat whatever I want to eat. And that's okay. No, I have diabetes on one side of the family. I have heart disease on the other, but I'm perfectly healthy. I'm not going to get either disease.
Yeah. And that's because you use food as medicine. So yeah, it depends on how you use food.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Gosh, Ramona, so many more things we could talk about. I always hate to get to this point. We're starting to run out of time here, but a lot of good stuff. Again, I want to mention a nationally recognized health coach right here on my podcast. Yay. Thanks for coming, Ramona. But you can, again, you can learn more and reach out to her. Her contact information is at her webpage, wellnessbyramona.com. I'll put a link to that in my podcast description. Ramona, we've talked about a lot of stuff today. For me personally, I've learned two key points again: food is medicine or food is poison. The biggest poison, as you mentioned, is sugar. If you've learned anything today, get off the sugar. Again, Ramona, as a health coach, can help you with that. Wellnessbyramona.com. Ramona, anything else that you would like to say before we kind of sign off today? We've said a ton already. Do you have any last minute comments or thoughts or tips or anything?
I'm going to share what my father said to me a long time ago.
Okay.
When he was going through his struggles with diabetes. He said that when you don't have your health, you have nothing. All the money in the world, whatever the case may be, he said it doesn't matter. Your health affects every aspect of your life. It affects the relationships that you keep because it affects your mood. Right? It affects your productivity at work. So it'll affect your work life, your home life. It literally affects everything in your life. Fortunately, you have the power. You have so much power in your fork. And I would say get educated on the power of food, and it will change your life. And I know so many people out there, that I've worked with, friends, family, whatever the case may be, people that I just kind of meet in everyday life that they're understanding. They've had their own struggles and they've used food as medicine, and they are in a completely different space right now. So next time you go into the supermarket, spend some time in that produce section and make your cart look like that Crayola crayon box that I was talking about, because you're going to get all kinds of critical nutrients that your body needs.
Yeah. I want to follow up with just one quick thing there for anyone listening. I've worked with seniors for a number of years, and I see what happens when you use food as poison, when you get in your 60s, 70s, and 80s, doctor's appointments, the pill type of medicine. Some seniors I've worked with are on 10 or 15 different pills, wheelchairs, walkers, loss of independency. And all of us, I think, have this goal to live as long as possible, as healthy as possible, as happy as possible. And Ramona, as you pointed out, food is medicine. That's one of the most basic, simple ways to start. So if you're listening to this, you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, it's never too late to start. But the sooner you start, the sooner you switch. It's everything you just said. Everything in your entire life centers around your health. It really,
absolutely.
Yeah. So Ramona, super appreciate you being here today. This has been awesome. I got goosebumps. I'd love to have you back on the podcast. There's tons more different niches and avenues and angles that we could go down. So you're welcome to come back anytime. Would love to have you back. And again,
that would be wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah. If you're listening right now, again, I super appreciate you always checking out the Be Well, Be Safe, Be Happy Ice Cream podcast. I know there's a lot of podcasts out there, so I definitely thank you for taking the time to check me out today. As I always say, until next time, this is Coach Brad saying, be well, be safe, be happy, eat ice cream. Take care, everyone. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Okay. Happy spring, everybody. It's so awesome to be here with you again today. This is the